Now let's solve the problem, the algorithm that we have developed here, and the approach that we have created, like this 2D array to solve this problem. We will implement exactly the same thing in Java. I'm on my IntelliJ right now. Let's start solving this problem. Let me take this. Okay, and I'll mark it as final. Just habit of having this clean code in immutable form. And let me print common supersequence. And let's take the example str1 CAB. Okay. Now, as we have seen in our approach, that firstly we need to find the LCS between the two strings. So I will create a 2D array by taking the str1 length as the rows, and the columns for str2. And this would be my DP array, the two-dimensional DP array as we discussed, with row +1. We are using +1 for the terminal condition that we created here. This one, hash. Okay, that's why I'm creating +1. Okay, now let's start filling this array as we have filled it here. We will start filling it from here, this point, and move up with the algorithm that if the characters match, then we take 1 plus whatever is there in the right diagonal. If the characters don't match, like here, it should be the max of the next cell or the below cell. Should be row -1 because start from here. The row start with 0 index, so that's why it should be row -1 this here. And we need to go till we reach to the first element. And similarly, we need to do for J as well. J's column. Column -1, and J should be greater than or equal to 0, J minus. Okay, now let's put our condition here that if str1 dot char at I is equal So if they are equal, like E and E are equal, then should be 1 plus whatever is there to the next right diagonal. So dpij is equal to 1 plus the bottom right diagonal, that is I plus 1 and j plus 1, right? So here I plus 1 is this, I plus 1 is this, j plus 1 is this. Else, when they don't match, should be the max of this and this, j plus 1 or I plus 1. j plus 1 and dp of I plus 1 j bottom. Okay, so this is how we actually found when we reach to the dp00, when we reach to the top of it, that would be the length of the LCS which has been found. So this is the first part when we found the LCS between the two strings. This is the length of it. Now we're going to insert all these characters into SCS form, as we have discussed the approach here. Starting from here, we move down till we exhaust all the characters from here. So let me create a string builder class, because we're going to do a lot of appends on this, and this is our result. So new string builder. Get down. Okay. So let's start with the very first element. I will mark it again as int 0. We're starting from here, and now we'll see that we'll move till we'll exhaust all the strings. So I will use a while loop here. While I is less than row and j is less than column, so we don't overflow. Now we see that if str1 dot they are equal, then we know that that number has been coming from the right diagonal. For example, here, if we know that these characters are same, then we know that this number is coming from the diagonal 1 plus whatever the value is there at the right diagonal. So we will append the character from both sides. For example, here is the scenario where E and E are matching. We know that this 2 has been coming from 1 plus whatever the cell is here. So that's why we'll exhaust E and E from both str1 and str2 and append it here in the SCS, our solution. So I will append. I can take str1 or str2, doesn't matter, because both are same here. Caret I, and then I will move to the right diagonal, bottom diagonal. Okay. And now let's look for the other scenario. Now if dp of I plus 1 j, I mean, we have only will move that when the characters don't match. Then we have to check, for example, in this G and E case, characters don't match. Then we have to find that whether this 2 is coming from the right, from the column side, or from the row side. And we see that it's coming from the row side. Then we have to exhaust this G from the str2 and move down. So here I'm seeing that I'm just moving I plus 1j. If I plus 1j, that is the next row number, is greater than j plus 1, this column. So this is the exact scenario here. This one, I plus 1j, 2 is greater than 1. So in that case, we move it down and then exhaust the string, the character, sorry. So I need to append str1, right? And I just move to the bottom. So here we took this G, put it here, and then we move from here to here because 2 is greater than 1. Now the last, it means that we are now in the set that if For example, here in this scenario, yes, when A and C are not matching, we found that we have to, and 2 is bigger than 1, so it means that we have to move this side and exhaust this string. Else, so this is the same condition here. When we move to the right, to the horizontal cell. So again, I will just copy this str2 because we are moving to the, and I have to use the column index and j++. That's it. So this is all the formula where how to move across the LCS grid that we have created, and then we keep on moving until we exhaust all the strings. So for example, in this scenario, when we reach here, we have exhausted all the str2 characters and input it here, but we were still left with the remaining characters in the str1. We simply put it in the same order and append it here. So it's the same thing we are going to do here now for that exhaustion thing, that when we complete everything, we just append it in the same. So here, there is possibility that either str1 was exhausted or str2 was exhausted. So either of these conditions may be not, maybe false. So for example, say only J was already exhausted, then this would be still left. That's why we will take whatever is there left in str1 and append it to our SCS final result. Caret I and I plus. We are taking everything left in str1 and append it in the same order. Or we'll do the same thing for the other str2. I mean, if str1 was exhausted, then we append everything from the str2 to our final solution. str2.caret j++. And then finally, our solution is ready and we return it. So let's do a final review that what we have done. So first of all, we create our DP array with row +1 and column +1. Here we are calculating the LCS. And then from here onwards, we follow this algorithm, insert the characters. I mean, we just moved, we have already discussed about the approach, that how we move across and create this SCS string. The same thing we're doing here. If the character matches, we move to the right diagonal and exhaust the characters from both str1 and str2. Similarly, if they don't match, we take which is maximum of them and then extract the character from that string. And finally, we take over the leftover from all the strings, str1 to which have been not exhausted yet, and then append it and then return it. Yeah, let's run this. I just click on run and see whether our solution for this simple case is correct. Yeah, so we got CABAC for the first example. CABC.